to talk about non-invasive application for NICU patients, right? How non-invasive works, and also how this mini-flow works. But some people have confused, in the talk I had yesterday, some people were thinking mini-flow is like a mode or a feature on the ventilator. Is anybody thinking that? No? That they know that mini-flow is the apparatus? Okay. So this is really just a substitute for Hudson prongs or Inca prongs or any other prongs that you talk about. And I always thought, even when I was a therapist, that you should have more than one device, because sometimes kids' faces are different, and this one doesn't work, but this interface does, but this one doesn't, and that one does, so on and so forth. So it's nice to have an option. I've been to a couple hospitals where I think initially it was at actually Baptist, Winston-Salem. All they had was the RAM cannula, and then they'd go, we're having trouble, we got leakage or whatever with the RAM, what can we do with the ventilator? And I go, I don't think you can do anything with the ventilator, just try a different interface. And they go, oh, we don't have a different interface to use. And I go, you don't have any other prongs or any other thing that you can use for babies? No, we're just using that one RAM cannula for now. So eventually they got a different, so they have different options now when they have difficulty. So anyway, to use this interface, what you want to do first is, in these kits or with the kits, when you order these, initially when we sent it to you the first time, we sent you a starter kit, and it had all the different sizes in it. But and then after you do the starter kit, you say, well, we're never going to use this size or that size. So then the reorders would be whatever sizes you would use more consistently, the small or the big prongs or whatever prongs you would get. So all the ordering, the numbers are here, and that's how you would order them. And so you've placed reorders. I think you've placed reorders for these because you've used these on occasion. So the way you do this is you simply use the tape measure, and first to measure, and then you find what color would be appropriate for this baby's head. Okay. So once you find the color, then you find the bonnet size or the head size that would be the right size, and then this part goes up top, on the top of the head, and we just put the little stocking cap on, like that. Now this part comes apart, it's got this little divider in it, and so what you'll end up doing eventually is doing this, and positioning it appropriately before you tighten it down, so that the mini flow is ready to be in the right position for the nares. You all see that? And then the top of the hat has little ties on it, so you can tie a bow and keep the heat in on the top of the head. That's what these are for. Then in the kit, you'll also have these little straps that, depending on what appliance you use, and your kits won't, things that you get won't look like this, they'll just be in packages. So this is my little traveling salesman kit. So let's say you wanted to start with prongs first. So you would then pick the appropriate size prong using, once again, your little tape measure. So you can put this up to the nair and try to estimate what size prong you would use based on these nairs. So then you say, okay, this baby is pretty small, so I'm going to use the smallest prong. So you find, I think that's the smallest prong, and they have holes in the back of them. So the way this works is these are hard plastic here, but what you'll end up doing is putting the prongs in like that, and now the prongs. So
is that a foolproof? Like you can only put it one way?
Well, no, you could put it two ways, but this way, let me orient this right. You want to orient it so that the curved end is going towards the mouth. Right? And when you insert the prongs, you don't want the prongs, you don't want to push this all the way in so it's all the way up against the septum. You want to put it in about halfway. So if you select the right size, put it in so it's halfway. And what you would do is put this in first, because this requires a little bit of push to get them in to the hard plastic. So once you do, this has a little bit of movement to it, a little bit more than the other ones did. So you have a little bit more flexibility. So when you do that, then you get it in, you put it in the nares about halfway, and then you put that through this piece here. And then, but before you would do that, I would imagine that it would be easier to do this first. And these are Velcro, so they'll attach right to the hat. And so then you position it properly before you secure it to the hat. And then you have another one that goes on the other side. Okay, y'all follow me? So like any of these appliances, you gotta work with them a little bit to get them just right, so that they're not pulling back, and you move this so you give yourself a little bit more room, a little bit more play here. So after you get it all set in, you may have to do some adjustments. So I would recommend not clamping this down tight right initially, because you're gonna have to move it. Okay? Easy enough?
Now, what comes in, like, not the initial kit, but what would come in our setup? So, like, if they go to grab something, what all this would?
Well, with a device like this, and also Fisher-Paykel has a similar system, the problem that I see as a therapist, as a practical therapist, is what you have are, you would have, you'd say, well, I'm gonna order 20 smalls, 20 mediums, and 20 large, let's say, of the prongs. And then you'd have a little box, 20 large, and you'd put them in there, so that when you went to do this on a baby, you'd have to grab a mini flow out of the mini flow box. You'd have to grab small, because you've already measured, so you need small prongs. And then you'd have to have another box that had the different hats in it. So when you order them, you would order them that way. You'd order 10 of this, or 5 of that, or 8 of this, or whatever.
So is the tape measure as in with the mini flow?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
You would get that with, well,
It comes with the tubing thing.
The generator, okay.
with this.
That's what I wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So that's what it comes with. And then you do your measurement.
Okay.
And then what I didn't mention is, let's say now, and I think one of the nurse practitioners yesterday said, oh, well, this will work, and what we can do then is we will then alternate every 4 hours between prongs and the nasal mask. So if you see some breakdown occurring, you can simply take the prongs off the mini flow and then put the mask on, and then put the mask on. And then 4 hours later, you can save those prongs that you took off and then put them back on, and then use the prongs. So you can avoid or minimize the amount of breakdown that you might see at the nose.
Are we gonna have prongs?
We don't have prongs, all we have are masks.
Is that all we're going to have?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
Right now, all we have is masks.
Right now, all you have is masks. But there are 4 different sizes of masks, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different sizes of prongs. So. And I will get you the PowerPoint for this, so that you can show it to other people that aren't that weren't here. But also it tells you, make sure that it's not all the way, if you're using the prongs if you're just using the mask, not an issue, but if you're using prongs, don't force them all the way in. And other little tips about making sure that the bonnet doesn't come down over the ears, it comes to the ears, that kind of, so you're not squishing the ears. I'm not a sales guy, so these are. got these in the mail. One day we didn't know we were getting them. My wife said, "You're selling babies now?"
So the brand of this, or what's called McKay?
Well, these are, McKay is more capital equipment, but we have done a little bit of a foray into OEM. In other words, we partner with this company, and the company was named originally when we first started doing this was called Medin, M-E-D-I-N. So if you go on the internet and put in Medin interface devices, you'll see the Medin display, which will be the same as these. But after, it's been about 6 or 8 months now, they told us eventually that we will be able to brand these with our name on it, just like some other company, like GE or whatever. GE makes it, but you know, so-and-so can brand it, you know, because they pay licensing fees